We're driving the 387 miles from Glasgow to South Wales, a route we've driven many times. Driving time is around about 6.5 hours, that is with no stops. We always stop twice to break the journey. The difference driving an EV is we stop and charge at the same time, our Kia Niro EV2. Over the last 3.5 years, the charge network on this route has stood up well. But today is the second busiest day in the UK holidays. That is, it's the 27th of December, 2 days after Christmas. So how will the EV charge network stand up to the higher demand? We leave Glasgow with a full charge, which it gives us around about 200 miles. And we know from experience the mileage on the dashboard is pretty accurate. And it'll give us around about 180 miles of driving. So this first stop is more likely to be 2.5 to 3 hours of driving. Why? Well, first of all, my driving strategy, my speed, and it's based on the way I find it to be least exhausting. I like to drive or cruise at around about 65 miles an hour. It means that I'm not caught up in the waves of fast-moving vehicles driving at or around the speed limit. Secondly, it avoids the lorries travelling at 60 miles an hour. And the other issue is I've got a full charge battery, so I want to make full use of this at 100% charge. The next charges en route will take it to 80%. This is good practice. A, the speed of charge is good up to 80% when charging the battery. And secondly, it ensures long life of my car battery at these fast charges. On a 2.75 hour drive, 155 miles, we decide to stop at Killington Lake in Cumbria. It's a great start. We drive straight into a vacant charger. This is a service station we know and have used these chargers before. We leave our Kia charging while we go for a pee, coffee and a bite to eat. That was our first mistake. After an hour or so, we came out expecting to drive away with an 80% charge in the battery, as we had done on previous occasions. To our utter dismay, we found the battery had hardly charged at all. It was only charging at 9 kilowatt, a fraction of the high rate we once had. What had changed since the last time we'd been here? After speaking to the other EV drivers, we learned the fast chargers are now the chargers next door, the new ones. There was no obvious signage to tell us that these chargers had now been downgraded to super slow. So off we go to join the queue for these faster chargers. I wonder how fast they are. I'm hoping for spectacular charge rates now they've been upgraded. All the chargers are occupied, so where do we wait? I've noticed the waiting cars were in the parking bays opposite the chargers, so this is where I go. Nope, there's now a new makeshift queuing system to the side of the chargers, which we join. It turns out to be our worst charging experience in over 3.5 years of driving our Kia Niro EV. Having said that, it lets us experience the frustrations of EV charging and discuss what needs to be done to improve the EV charging facilities at Killington Lake Services. The nightmare of electric car charging. We're sitting here in a queue, having been in slower chargers without us realizing the charge. These chargers tell you absolutely nothing about them. I see a sign on the left here saying high power, but what does that mean? So what is the definition of high power grid-serve EV chargers? Well, in the UK, grid-serve chargers, and this is AI, but why don't we just go to grid-serve itself? And it says here, okay, so this is grid-serve. Learn the lingo. Life on the grid-serve electric highway is a breeze. The grid-serve electric highway provides a versatile range of EV charging options to suit your journey or activity. For the fastest charging available, use our 350 kilowatt high-powered chargers at our electric super hubs. Well, they certainly weren't that, were they? I thought they might be, and that's why I made that initial decision to go into the charger that had worked perfectly satisfactorily the first time. We're at the top of the queue. We've been here for 30 minutes and we continue to sit at the top of the queue and watch everyone come and go. While we were waiting in the car, we did actually try ZapMap, and I'm just going to replicate what we did in the car. We went in here and we typed in Killington Lake. So that brought us into Killington Lakes, and then we zoomed in. And the reason for doing this is just to see whether ZapMap reflected the true situation on the ground. And based on that, we could then make decisions from ZapMap. So we clicked on there, and this is, I'm pretty sure, is exactly what we saw at the time. There were 6 slots of 9 occupied. Well, it was clearly all the slots were occupied. So having learned that ZapMap wasn't reflective of the situation in front of us, we decided we couldn't make decisions on how to go on and proceed our journey, because we could have then looked at where else the next charges were. And I'm not quite sure where they were, but we would have at least attempted to. But finding that ZapMap wasn't reliable and didn't give us the true situation at Killington meant that we were trapped there. So we stayed and waited. We had no idea how long the next cars would take to charge and move on. We just had to wait and hope. Boots up. Somebody's getting into the driver's seat down here. Do you think they're going to pull out? And the guy previously was just showing his total frustration with all of this. He said these are meant to be fast chargers, and it took him forever. And he said he's got this car on a 2-year lease, and that's the end of his electric cars. He's not going to buy an electric car again because of the shambolic situation with chargers. Oh well, there we are in, and I think I have to use the app, so I'm going to have to disconnect this. I downloaded the app, put the card in, wouldn't accept it. I've now had to plug it back in, and I've had to pay with the credit card directly. This is saying preparing to charge. Okay, at last it's up and running. What a nightmare. That's charging at 45 kilowatt. The other one was 20. And whenever another car went in, it went down to 10 or 9. Charging an electric car is very different to filling a petrol or diesel vehicle tank. This might sound obvious, but it's not as obvious as it may seem. Let me just show you this graph here of an electric car. It shows that when the battery is down at 10 and up to 45%, the charge rate can be between 80 and 85 kilowatts. But as the battery fills, the charge rate drops, and you can see it dropping all the way down until when it gets to 70 to 80%, it's got dropped down to about 45 kilowatts. And the last bit, it goes very slowly, and this is why when we're on the motorways, we like to charge the car on a fast charger up to 80%. And that's good practice. It's good for the battery as well. So when we look at motorway chargers, it's important to remember the charge rate that our vehicle can actually take. While they can be rated up to 350 or 240 kilowatt charges, most cars can't take that. And certainly the one we're driving can't take those speeds. But being able to get into a car charger slot and get charges of 50 kilowatt, etc., is perfectly sufficient for us, because we like to generally stop for around about an hour. I did contact GridServe. There was no phone number, so I had to communicate by typing into a box and waiting for a response. I also very cleverly didn't position the camera accurately, so you can't exactly read the words other than hear me read them out. I did get an explanation. Interestingly, the rated output from the Killington Lakes high-power chargers were different to that given by the GridServe website of 350 kilowatt. The charger maximum is up to 240. The energy you received will depend on the vehicle need, temperature, and the site business. From looking at the site, it looks like the site was very busy on that day, which plays into why you received the kilowatt you were receiving. Okay, so what it's saying, the charger maximum is 240. So the advertised charges are not being achieved on this day at least. Sadly, this just endorses our substandard grid-serve charger experience here at Killington Lakes in Cumbria. Well, we were a bit concerned that this car here wasn't on charge. And what we've discovered is these blue things indicate how full the car battery is. And this one here is lower than ours. It was right down there. It is going up slightly. And you can see ours up here. And we're about 70%. The one over here next to it on the sun, you can just see the top of it is green. And that shows it's indicating that it's a clear charger. And the car's coming in now to charge up. So having learnt the colours and what it means as to how full the tank is, it'd just be good if there was a standardised system for all electric chargers. What a frustration of the whole thing. Well, look what arrived in the post today. Group Nexus parking charge. Your parking charge, everything you need to know. Date of issue the 2nd of January. Our car, and lo and behold, Road Chef Killington Lake. Date of arrival 27th of January, 11:25 we arrived there, departed at 2:37. Duration 3 hours 12 minutes. Charge £100. If you pay within 14 days of what, I'm not sure, is it from the date of issue? I don't know. You'll have to pay £60 instead of £100. And today is Monday the 12th of January. It does have what is the appeal process, and I needed a grid serve receipt.
Grid serve receipts, is that where I can get a receipt from?
To support my car park charge appeal. To my surprise, the receipts were very easy to obtain from their website. Group Nexus, the car parking operator, cancelled the penalty without undue hassles. I was really impressed by this. So that is us charged with 80% in the tank, which gives us approximately 180 miles or another 2.5 hours of driving, which is perfect for us. As we pass this fossil fuel pump, petrol and diesel, let's just stop and ask ourselves the differences. The prices are clearly marked, there are fuel pump options clearly displayed, and the purpose-built facilities. It's not just tacked onto our car park with no considerations for how the vehicles will be handled. There's a vast difference between EV charging and the fossil fuel pump. We have 233 miles left to do. That's just about 4 hours of driving left, assuming there are no road delays. To remind you, our total journey is 387 miles. Our first stop knocked off 154 miles. I find driving an EV much easier than a conventional petrol or diesel car. One pedal does everything, including braking to slow down. There is a conventional brake, and it's there for an emergency stop, but in reality I find I hardly ever use it. The one pedal does everything I need. We were soon into slow-moving traffic, busy public holiday traffic. This is when the EV does even better. We get more miles out of the tank as there's no wind resistance going slowly. People talk about battery drain from the lights, heaters and wipers. In reality, it's not something we are conscious of. We find the mileage range on the dashboard to be pretty accurate, usually within a few miles on long journeys. We have now decided to change our EV strategy. We don't want to get caught in another queue. Once we know there's enough room in the tank for the next charge to get us home, we start calling into the services to check the EV availability. If it's not suitable, we move on. We still have plenty of range in the battery. The priority now is no queues. A good start, a parking spot right next to the charger. But sadly, all the charger cables were in use. I do have a Tesla app, which allows me to use the Tesla chargers. I then check if I'm allowed to use this charger. Again, sadly, we couldn't. So off we go to the next service station. Just take a moment to look at Killington Services fossil fuel, petrol and diesel pumps, very well lit up in a dedicated location. So you do have to ask yourself why services treat EV customers so badly. 11 miles down the road we get to Stafford Services. So how will they treat their EV drivers? The chargers are hidden in the dark corner of the car park. There are 2 charge points with all the connectors in use. So off we go. Stafford Services is certainly a service station to avoid for EV drivers. We still have plenty of range in the tank, so what will we find next? After another 18 miles of driving, we get to Hilton Park Services. Will we be in luck here? We notice Tesla chargers, plenty of empty bays. Will the Tesla app let us use these chargers? Sadly not. So off to find the other chargers in the service station. This time we hit the jackpot. Plenty of availability. Absolutely perfect. Time for a pee and a bite of M&S food. Well, this is us at Hilton Park, and there are actually quite a lot of chargers available here, and the same situation applies. Green means it's available, and this is showing you how full. We're about 60%, 80% is at the top. That gives you how full the car is at the various charge points. But anyway, we went straight into this, no problem at all. Again, telling us high power. And when I look on here, 53 kilowatts, well short of the 350 output of a high-powered charger. That's us charged. We have just over 100 miles, or about 1.5 hours drive time left until we get home. Plenty of power in the tank. This offers us a chance to review our EV experience, or EV charge experience. How does it compare to a conventional fossil fuel petrol and diesel pump? Do EV drivers have a similar level of experience? Let's look at each thing one by one. The signage. When you drive into the service area, one of the first things we've got to do is try and work out where the EV chargers are. There's no clear signage telling us its location. And once we get there, there can often be a choice. What I find amazing about these electric chargers is there's nothing to tell you what the price is. Now there's here apple green electric, but no prices that I can see anywhere on any of these. I took this clip at Abington Services on the M74 just outside Glasgow. I later discovered there were 3 different charger suppliers. These electric green, there was GridServe, and there are also Tesla chargers. I was unable to make an informed choice, first of all because I didn't realize there were 3 different charge suppliers on site, and secondly because there wasn't any prices displayed on the pumps. Surely this isn't right. The customers need to be informed before making a choice and filling up. Here we have 22 chargers, 10 Tesla and 12 GridServe. But no clear indication of pricing unless you start interrogating the machines, unlike petrol and diesel. A bank of Tesla chargers, it does actually put on there 46p per kilowatt hour. When I look at the Tesla, here we've got GridServe, and I have no idea what the charge is, how much it costs. Oh, it does. It just said 79p. It disappeared.
Oh, it's flicking through screens, is it?
Yeah, let's want a receipt, need help. If I wait long enough, Trustpilot, and it might tell me in a minute.
Oh, here.
Does it say?
79p, plug in your vehicle, tap your compass card.
If I wait long enough, lease your vehicle from us.
79p a kilowatt hour. It's interesting because it's half the price across there.
79.
Yeah.
That's it, gone. What was the price difference between the charge operators here? 46p Tesla and 79 GridServe. That's over 70% difference. Is GridServe guilty of price gouging? We do have to remember these prices were in 2024, but I've just had a look online, and as of today, the 1st of January 2026 at 11:30 a.m, Tesla charges were 57p, and I'm pretty sure GridServe would be around their standard 90p or thereabouts. This happens to be one of the locations where the ordinary non-Tesla driver can use Tesla chargers, but the customer is not informed of the prices and choices before filling their EV, which I believe is a legal requirement. The good news for us EV drivers is the majority of our charging is done away from these service station chargers. In our case, over 90% of charging is done at home, where we pay 7p a kilowatt hour, as opposed to 57 with Tesla and 90 odd with GridServe. As we wind our way over the Severn Bridge, we're almost home. While this video is negative in terms of how we EV drivers are being treated on Britain's motorway services, I must emphasise that I would never go back to a petrol or diesel car. We love our EV, Kia Niro. The quality of the drive is so superior to a fossil fuel car. Only by discussing issues like this can we hope that those in authority who have the capability to resolve them will act. Please join the discussion and share your views on this topic, especially if you have an electric vehicle and have first-hand experiences.